When protest becomes performance, it fails us all. And this obsession with volume over clarity, we live in an age where shouting passes for substance and destruction masquerades as moral force. But shouting louder doesn't make one right. Spraying red paint on jet engines doesn't halt a war, and riding an electric scooter across an airbase is not an act of liberation. It's theatre, not courage, and it's deeply dangerous theatre at that. Last week, two activists from the Palestinian Action broke into RAF Brize Norton, the UK's largest airbase, and vandalised military aircraft. They sprayed paint into engines, they waved a flag, they used scooters, no less, to glide across restricted military territory, and they then left undetained. And the group claims they were acting to stop Britain's complicity in what they called genocide. But this is plain. This is not civil disobedience. This is recklessness. It's not Gandhian. It's performative vandalism underpinned by strategic ignorance and adolescent delusion. Keir Starmer now finds himself in a knot of his own making. As a human rights lawyer, he once defended protesters who broke into RAF Fairfield. He argued that even illegal actions might be justified to prevent greater war crimes. He didn't win that argument, but it now must haunt him, because today, as Prime Minister, he needs to condemn the vandalism as disgraceful, and has done so, but condemnation is not enough. He must take a statesmanlike stand. And that begins by recognising three fundamental failures, three interlocked fundamental failures. Firstly, our airfields are vulnerable. RAF Brize Norton was treated like an open park. No alarms, no armed response. Two protesters on scooters wondered about damaging assets used to refuel jets in one of the world's most volatile regions. It's a shocking indictment of Britain's military preparedness, preparation at a time when threats from Iran and Russia grow daily, and such laxity borders on negligence. And people in social media have used the word treason. And I think there is a case for that. Secondly, the protest has become a masquerade, and that's a cultural failure. Protest used to mean moral courage, quiet, forceful insistence on justice, to speak out, to protest, to speak out. Today, it's a selfie and a spray can. Palestinian Action doesn't seek dialogue, it wants spectacle. It thrives on outrage, not outcomes, and in doing so it corrodes the very idea of what protest is supposed to be. It cheapens resistance and turns public sympathy to suspicion. And finally, there is legal failure. Retrospective banning is not strategy. Yvette Cooper now proposes to prescribe Palestinian action under terrorism legislation, but that horse has bolted. And these groups should have been assessed, constrained, and where necessary prescribed before they made a mockery of military society. Retrospective bans may grab headlines, but they don't prevent damage. This is not preemption, it's panic dressed as policy. And there's moral hypocrisy at play. To damage RAF plans and to damage RAF equipment, to damage RAF planes under the banner of pacifism is like burning ambulances to protest at NHS cuts. The RAF has also delivered humanitarian aid to Gaza in these planes. Do Palestinian Action care about those lives? Or is their moral lens so narrowly focused that even British medics become targets because they wear a uniform? True protest listens as well as speaks. It builds bridges. This is not that. This is the cult of disruption, and in that cult there is no space for doubt, for dialogue, for complexity, and certainly no space for the armed forces, who, let's not forget, serve under civilian control and democratic government. We can and must uphold the right to protest, but it must be lawful, it must be peaceful, it must aim not to dominate the news cycle, but to persuade the conscience. The answer to the tragedy in Gaza lies not in crowbars and paint, but in diplomacy, scrutiny, arms export controls, and the moral clarity of debate, not walking down the street demanding ceasefires without a peace plan. What matters is to constrain and to redefine the battlefield. So what do we learn from this sorry spectacle? That security has failed, that protest has been perverted, that leadership must now rise to match the moment, And Sir Keir Starmer must show that he understands the difference between principled dissent and public endangerment. He must support the right to protest without allowing it to morph into sabotage. He must protect our armed forces without hypocrisy or delay, and above all, he must understand that shouting louder doesn't make one right. It only makes it harder for the right voices to be heard.